Hey, this is Meridith Elliott Powell, and I know it seems a little bit odd. It is Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern, but we didn't want to go the weekend without an episode of Sales Logic. So my fault. I was traveling yesterday, but Mark, we got a good show today, right?
We do have a good show because we're going to talk about how to create sustainable sales growth. And picking up on what we talked about last week, I think this is a perfect topic, sustainable sales growth. We've got a great question. We've got a great book. And, the lightning round, 10 ways to achieve consistent sales success. The key word, consistent. How's that sound?
That sounds good, and it sounds really apropos given where 2023 is going to go. We need to shift things up a little bit. All right, I'll hit this video and we will dive in.
Prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
This is Sales Logic.
All right, this is Sales Logic. So go ahead, Mark, you jump in.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Hey, and this really is the power of scheduling automation has never been more important than it is today. Think about consistency. Your sales team needs a solution to easily meet with prospects at the right time, every time. With Calendly, you can turn more meetings into revenue, accelerate your sales cycle, and increase your win rate when you use Calendly to automate your scheduling. Finish the year strong and request a demo of Calendly today. What a perfect sponsor to have as we talk about consistency.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mayor.
I mean, I use Calendly and I love it. If anybody listening right now, you really should schedule a demo. It is going to line up perfectly with the show that we have today. So before Mark walks you through the details of the show, I'm going to go ahead and kind of do an overview of how the show works. For those of you who join us every week, we always start with a question from you, the audience. So if you ever want to be a part of Sales Logic, just go to saleslogicpodcast.com. Throw your question in there, or just reach out to Mark or to me personally. We always discuss a topic, recommend a book, and because we want you to get return on investment, we leave with a lightning round.
Well, and with that, hey, the topic, like we said, is how to create sustainable sales growth. We got a great book, lightning round, but here's the question. Are you ready? Jerry from Atlanta asks, I lead a sales team of 9 salespeople, and there's no consistency in the results quarter to quarter. Each quarter, there are 1 or 2 that blow past their numbers, and there's another 1 or 2 that fall short. Problem is, each quarter, it's different people. Oh, man. Yeah. Jump in.
Well, a couple of things I wonder is, that's an unknown here. And Mark, I don't know how much detail you have on the question, but I'm a little bit curious as to how much servicing they have to do on the sales. Because if you weigh your sales team down in servicing on the sale, they're going to take their foot off the gas and sell. Now, both Mark and I have to service what we sell. So there is a way to do both. But I would wonder if they're selling, then stopping and servicing and completely treating them like 2 separate initiatives rather than crafting the time to do both.
You just called out the elephant in the room because that's the exact problem.
Yeah.
They get their book of business in, but then they got to take care of all this stuff. And as a result, hey, they're making commission, they're making good money. They begin to take their foot off the gas because they're taking care of everything that's got to be taken care of. And then they go into a valley. That is so spot. But you know what? That is so real in sales because whether or not it's servicing the business you got, or just feasting on the success of the previous quarter and the check you got, then you go, oh, now I'm back in the tank. How do we be consistent?
Well, I think there's a number of things that you need to do. The other thing that I'm wondering about too is that salespeople are very goal oriented. And the moment they hit their goal, because it's all that you're requiring of them, they stop and they go, I'm going to sandbag for the next month, or I can relax because it's been so intense. So you need to focus more on the behaviors rather than on the actual goal. I would really dive into and become the master of how much time do they need to be servicing a sale? What support do they have in that? And are they using all the AI that you provide to service that sale? For example, I really encourage my clients. There's a lot that we set up for them automated. If they need information from us, there's a landing page where they can go and get that information, download it themselves so they don't get tied up in those things. So you really need to do that. The other is make sure that you're working with them and coaching them one-on-one. And when they get close to the goal, they don't stop. They keep going.
Oh, you just hit on something so key because Jerry, I think as much as you might say the challenge is your people, the challenge is really you. It's you and what you do. Now, let me break this down for a second. Jerry, I'm gonna call out. It's so easy for us to be focusing in on existing customers. You make a casual passing comment. Hey, make sure you check on this, check on that, check on. And what happens is then salespeople begin to put all of their time and focus on the existing account. And then, Jerry, the other thing is being goal oriented. Mary, you are spot on. Salespeople are goal oriented. But here's the difference. I think it's more than just behavior. I think it's mindset. If you look at the top performing salespeople, and I'm going to put Meridith, I'm going to put you in that thing. You can set a goal, but you know what? You don't stop when you hit that goal because your achievement is really to go past that goal. I've seen this consistently in the top 1% of all salespeople. The objective is not to achieve the goal, but to blow past the goal. But that's a mindset. Jerry, you've got to be working with your salespeople to sit there and say, hey, why are you allowing yourself to achieve this level of success? You can go far beyond that. Now, how do you paint that picture? They have to see you doing the same thing. Jerry,
Absolutely.
You've got to be modeling this behavior.
Yeah. I would also add to that the fact that you need to help them understand why they are making life so much more difficult for themselves. I mean, I don't go past my goals because I'm a masochist who just wants to constantly make this harder for me. It is actually easier if I keep selling. I mean, think about it. Start an exercise program and then stop. Eat right and then stop. Try to change any kind of habit and then stop doing it. It is so hard to get back on the bicycle and start riding again. But anything that becomes a way of life actually becomes easier to do, and you get more momentum and more leverage to that.
Oh, what you just said really hits the word sustainable because it's consistent. You can't be sustainable unless you're consistent. And I look at far too many salespeople today. Their average daily routine, my customers are different. No 2 days are alike. No 2 days are alike. Hey, you know what? Everybody can sing that song. Your objective is to say, hey, am I going to allow my customers to manage my time, or am I going to be in control of my time? Now, I'm not saying that you ignore your customers. No. What I'm saying is that you have consistent activities that you do. And Mayor, what you just said, you can't just get off the bike and stay off the bike and then suddenly get back on it. No, you've got to be consistent. So let's break this down for a little bit. Because again, if Jerry's got people that are performing and then sinking, performing, sinking, Jerry, I'm going to say you have to be consistent in how you set your goals for your people, how you achieve them, and all of those little to-do things that you ask them to do on a daily, weekly basis. Because I'll tell you what, salespeople become victims of their manager. I don't think Jerry's going to talk to me again after this.
Well, he is if all he wants to do is achieve the goal. I love what Bill Snow said here. Focus on your leading indicators. I think this is so important right now, given for where the economy is going. And And focusing on your leading indicators means focusing on what the marketplace, the economy, the competition, those things that are going to impact your ability to be successful going forward. And when you look at that, Jerry, you may need to back up and really look at what your salespeople are doing and make sure that they're adjusting their game to be more successful. Jerry, I don't mean to pick on you, but I think that you are a sales leader who has a good understanding of the results your salespeople get, but you do not have a good understanding of the behaviors they do on a regular basis. And there is a big difference in that.
Big difference in there. And there's something else there. Leading indicators versus trailing indicators. I have found time and time again that sales managers, sales leaders, and especially with CRM systems, we wind up spending too much time focusing on trailing. Well, this was the activity we did last week. This was the activity we did last month. Hey, it's leading indicators. That's how you get to consistent behavior going forward, because now what you're doing is you're planning your day, your week, your month around what's coming, not around what has already happened. And I'll tell you what, it is about mindset, because if you don't wake up in the morning with prospects. The other day, I had a chance on my other podcast to interview a gentleman who's worth 7 figures. And he made the comment that he spends 20 minutes every morning writing his goals out, his short-term, medium, and long-term goals. And then at the end of the day, he writes them out again. He hand writes them. And he does that because the focus and the attention keeps my mindset on those. And guess what? It drives my behavior. That's exactly what he said.
Yeah, that's great. I love what Mark Bregman is saying. This is where a company should have a reliable customer service team who can perform those routine follow-up service tasks. Mark, spot on. But not only that, Jerry, you have to make sure that your sales team is letting go of those tasks. Years ago, I worked for a group of surgeons, and we went through a lot of cutbacks from Medicare and Medicaid. So our revenues were down before we ever did anything differently. And it was from them that I learned if I could keep the doctor in the operating room, we could make a lot of money. But the moment that the doctor checked a blood pressure, or the moment that the doctor did a task that a physician's assistant could do, the nurse could do, or one of their techs could do, even taking notes, we were losing money. And this is the same philosophy, Jerry, is you've got to make sure that you not only have a great customer service team, that AI is in place to do those things, but is your sales team letting go? Again, stop focusing on the results they get and back up to really intimately understanding what they're doing day in and day out.
Oh, that is so spot on. Hey, I'll tell you what, Larry jumps in with a great comment here. Top performing salespeople are masters. Larry Levine, if you don't know the guy, well, of course, you know him, Barry. He's a great friend of ours. Great friend of ours. He says, really, hey, leaders, what environments are you creating? See, this goes back to what we've been talking about, Larry. It is so spot on. Our managers create the environment that our salespeople operate in. And going back to your comment regarding the surgery suite, I mean, that is so spot on, because that's the one task that doctor, that's the one task that the doctor can do that others can't do. And this is why you want consistent sales results. Guess what? You've got to have customer facing time being consistent. You've got to have prospecting consistent. You can't allow yourself to sit there and play those games on everything else that is happening out there. I'll tell you what, man, it drives me crazy when I see inconsistent results, because you know what's interesting? It's not that customers are inconsistent. It's salespeople are inconsistent. And that's the big excuse I hear. I don't know if you've ever heard that. Salespeople say, well, I had a soft quarter this year because customers just aren't buying.
Right.
Whoa, hold it. Stop the tune right there. You are inconsistent. Customers are always buying. There's always opportunities out there.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
Got to go out and get them. Yes.
Yeah. I do have to focus on Istiak, I'm probably butchering your name, but you know what? What a great idea. Could you please start an event page so we can add it to the calendar and know when you guys go live? I love this idea, Mark, and I wanted to call it out because Mark is much more consistent than I am. I move the Sales Logic schedule around, and I think this is a great idea. So we're going to take you up. So please, if you have other ideas how to make this show better or more consistent for your sales process, always weigh in.
Let's see. I think we're eating our own dog food there, aren't we? In terms of being consistent, right? Right. And kind of almost with the topics. But anyway, hey, with that, let's really get into the topic: how to create sustainable sales growth. What are some of the things that you tell sales teams when you're working with them?
I go back to this idea of the very first thing we do is develop a behavioral sales process. And I don't care how good you are. I don't care how many goals you're hitting. I don't care whatever. But if you do not have a process, let's assume that Mark hired me to come into work at his company right now. And I have to say, I don't want to brag, but I'm a really good salesperson. Every company I've ever worked at, I blow past my goals. But my life is going to be so much easier and I'm going to get up to speed so much faster if Mark gives me a sales process, what works in his company. So if you want to achieve the goal, once you hit the number, you have to break it down to the process and the behaviors.
And I'm going to take it a step further than that, or I'm going to go upstream even further. It's the mindset, because again, I've seen salespeople have a great set of sales tech stack, and it's all great, but their mindset sucks and they're not disciplined, because see, the behaviors are all driven based on the discipline that you have towards them. Now, Mayor, you and we are disciplined. Every weekend, we do a Sales Logic episode. It may come on a Sunday. It may come at a weird hour, but we do it because we're disciplined in what we do. So if you want consistency, you have to be disciplined, because otherwise you can have all the behaviors in the world. I mean, it's like the person who says, I'm going to get the gym membership, and they go work out once. And you got to have the discipline to go back there and do it. But I'll tell you what, along with this consistency, there has to be consistency throughout the entire organization, from top down to the bottom. And again, salespeople, it's an emotional game. It's emotional. And what I see happening is that senior management, top management will pull some wonky decision. And suddenly it gets everybody distracted, everybody off base. Hey, if you're the CRO, you're the VP of sales, you're listening to this, you've got to make sure that every signal that comes down is consistent with the behaviors that you want. That's how you keep the discipline in place, because you're really working on the mindset. We got a great active chat going this morning for a Sunday morning. I love it. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Carol. Abundance mindset are key in sales. You are absolutely right. And Mark is so passionate about that. He writes about it in his book, A Mind for Sales. But yeah, that has to be there. The other thing I want to say about behaviors, though, is that they have to be achievable and they have to be manageable. Don't write a process that is ridiculous. When I hear that people make 50 and 100 sales calls a day, I just don't know if you have to do any level of servicing, if you have to do any level of follow-up, if you have to build any level of relationship. For me, that's unattainable. It's kind of like working out for me. I have this thing about working out where I do 30 minutes in the morning and I do 30 minutes at some point before the end of the day. If I do 30 minutes in the morning, it's easier for me to do 30 minutes. If I wait all day, I'm never going to do my hour to an hour and a half. And typically I end up doing 90 to 2 hours worth of exercise, but I break it down and I make it easy. And that's why I don't set a ridiculous amount of sales calls or sales follow-up I have to do every day. I can do things consistently when it's a manageable number.
You talk about that in your book, Thrive, where you talk about all the companies that you've historically have, that you went back and looked at, went through major challenges. But one of the things they did was they just remained consistent and they remained focused. wow, this is great comment coming in from Adam here in terms of, variable incentive compensation, VIC. We have very long lead times of 6 months, and sandbagging is becoming more common, especially when we hit your annual cap. I tell you what, once you start sandbagging, it's amazing how it becomes an addictive behavior. And then suddenly you begin sandbagging everything. And all you're doing is you're managing your business to your number. And guess what? You'll eventually manage your number right down to an absolute low level. See, here's the whole thing. When you look at top performers, they remain top performers in regardless of what's happening. They stay pedal to the metal. Now, does that mean they don't take breaks? They take breaks, but they schedule them in. And again, they're very, very consistent.
Yeah. Adam, I'm going to say for a mindset shift is that sandbagging is a scarcity model. It is fear that if I don't sandbag, I won't make my number. And here's the problem. It is like, here's what I think about as scarcity and managing to the goal is that this is where sales got derailed and why people hate sales, because this is uncomfortable. If I think in my mindset, oh my God, I got to hit a goal every month. I've got to hit a goal every month. I've got to hit a goal every month. Versus if I just say, I'm just going to focus on my customers. I'm just going to reach out. I am going to be nice to people. I am going to be kind to people. I'm going to intimately understand their business, and the rest will take care of itself. It does, especially with where we're going in 2023. I mean, you saw the show where Mark and I talked about recession, and Mark doesn't play in the game, and I do. I'm a realist, and I was listening to Jamie Dimon talk about what's coming, and that he thinks it's going to be worse than we thought. But I think you embrace that, right? I think you say, okay, 2023 is going to be a challenging year. I just got to focus on helping my customers. And the irony is when you let go of the goal and you focus on helping people, you not only blow past the goal, it's more fun. It's easier. It's more enjoyable.
And with that, Mare has thrown me under the bus because she said she's the realist and I'm the one who lives in fantasy land.
No, I didn't. I said you're the optimist.
Well, yeah, well, you're right, because it's how we choose to look at it. I know the economy is going to be difficult. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. But it's how we choose to look at it. Because, see, to me, that changes my mindset, which then impacts my discipline towards my behaviors. And that's absolutely. Hey, we got some great comments coming in. We got, in this economic climate, it takes a lot of time to personalize outreach, which converts better than smashing a high quality. Yes, it is. Again, this is that discipline that you've got to be having in there. Hey, we got a lot of comments that are popping in on the LinkedIn feed, which is absolutely terrific. But man, we got to keep moving along here, and we got to get to a book here. But before we do that, let me remind you about Calendly. Accelerate your sales cycle and increase your win rate when you use Calendly to automate your scheduling. It's the tool we use, both Mary and I use it to manage our work days and achieve our sales goals. Okay, here's the book. We'll come back and we'll get some of these comments in here. Leading Growth, Anthony Iannarino. This book breaks, you want to talk about consistency. This is the book that breaks down every activity. He's got a couple chapters in here just on cadence. He's got a couple chapters in here on sales automation. He breaks down every single task. So the book is Leading Growth. I don't know if you've had a chance to read it, Meridith.
I haven't read that one yet.
Did he send you a copy? I hope you got a copy.
No, I don't have a copy.
Oh, man. Okay. We got to correct that. Okay. Anyway. Hey, great book. Anthony Iannarino, Leading Growth. So anyway, Hey, let's deal with a few of these comments before we jump into the lightning round. How's that sound?
Yeah, Jack, I love this. I love this comment, and in fact, we got to make sure this comment gets into the show notes. And it's also doing the right behaviors at the right time. When you fish, you need to be on the lake where they are biting. Because one of the things that I was going to talk about in the lightning round that I'll just go ahead and talk about now is part of this is you have to be reflective. You have to look back at the last couple of months and ask yourself, what behaviors landed me business? What moved my organization forward? What do I need to be doing more of? And then be open to what didn't work. Sometimes you have to realize through no fault of your own, some of your behaviors aren't going to work anymore. I don't know if you find this, Mark, but sometimes I use the telephone and it works like a charm. And then people quit answering the telephone and I got to go to email or I've got to go to a postcard or something. I mean, like things change and you need to understand that. So it is about defining the right behaviors, but then also be open to changing those behaviors.
Hey, let's get Larry's up here. Larry Levine, self-leadership plays a huge role in all this. It sure does. Discipline's the glue to, I like that. Discipline's the glue to long-term sales sustainability. Mm-hmm. It's holding oneself accountable. You know, we can't begin to lead our customers until we first lead ourselves.
Yeah,
I love this. And again, this comes from, you know, Jack and Larry. We both know them very well. They're both incredibly disciplined, and amazing sales experts. Yes. And as a result, then they achieve sustainable sales results. Wow. Can't say that fast 5 times. Anyway, hey, you ready for the lightning round?
I am.
Lightning round, 10 ways to achieve consistent sales success. Go.
Number 1, set up a set of sales behaviors and clearly define your process.
Number 2, put it on your calendar and be consistent with how you schedule it on your calendar.
Yeah, I would add to that is set aside the time that you're going to do it every day. Try to do it as consistently at the same time every single day.
Be accountable to somebody else. Somebody else has to hold you accountable. Mary and I, we're in a mastermind group and we hold each other accountable and it works.
Yeah. Make sure that those behaviors are doable. Do not set up a process that you can't do consistently day in and day out.
Ask yourself which activities somebody else can do. And you got to find somebody else to do those activities so you can focus in on only what you can do.
Yeah, I'd also give yourself some short and easy wins in the sales process. Make sure that some of the sales calls you're making are on referrals. Make sure some of the sales calls you're making are on existing customers who will do more business with you. Easy wins will keep you motivated.
Take the time to focus on your goals every morning. Every morning you look at your goals and ask yourself, are my activities today going to help me achieve my goals?
Yeah. I would say be reflective. Go back and at least every 3 months, focus on the previous quarter and ask yourself, what worked, what didn't, what do I need to change?
I'm going to pick up on Jack's comment. He says 2023 is going to be a horrible economic year, but there'll be many industries that do well. This means predictable growth means targeting and staying focused. You've got to target the right industries. Know your ICP.
Yeah. If you, and going with your ICP, you need to make sure that as we move into 2023, you clearly understand how the problems and the challenges are changing for employers. For example, this year has been all about trying to find labor. In 2023, as many of them cut jobs, labor probably won't be as big an issue. It'll be more like price increases and falling business for them, and make sure that your products and services are going to the right solution.
Leverage the most powerful sales app you have. It's called your mind. Stay focused on your objectives. Don't deviate from them. Don't get caught up in shiny objects. Hey, why don't you share one more and then we'll go ahead and close it down.
Yeah, I would say let go of the goal. Other than the behavior one. Do the right behaviors, reflect on those behaviors, adjust and change. And right now, more than anything, if you want sustainable growth, forget about your own goals and focus on your customers.
Hey, huge thank you to Calendly for helping us manage our scheduling needs through automation and for their sponsorship of the Sales Logic podcast. Be sure to visit the link in our show notes and request a demo of Calendly today. With that, we want to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show because it's how we grow to help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
Uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
and the sale becomes logical.
All right. This time next week, we'll be back here at 9 a.m. Eastern Saturday morning with another episode of Sales Logic. Until then, if you have comments, if you want to ask a question, reach out to us on saleslogicpodcast.com. And don't forget to request a demo with Calendly. You won't be sorry. All right. We'll see you next week.